Good morning and welcome to Tap Talk Live. Here we are live every Monday to Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we talk about tap water and tap water products and also water in general in Malta. So today we are talking about what water filtration system is best for coffee. Now, I don't know about you, but I like my coffee. And I think that the flavour of coffee is something that I really appreciate, and I appreciate different types of coffee. So I know I can tell the difference if I go from one coffee bar to another coffee bar, and there is a difference in the coffee taste. And one of the reasons that this is so is because there is coffee is 98% water. So although we spend a lot of time concentrating on which coffee beans or which coffee we're using, and this bar has this particular brand and that bar has that particular brand, and so we like that better than that, maybe we forget about the water. And certainly in coffee bars and restaurants that we visit, if they're using a particular quality or type of water, that is going to affect the coffee. And that is also very true at home. Whether you're using instant coffee straight out of a jar, or whether you've got one of those machines with the pods and stuff like that, which personally I don't use, or if you use the espresso machines and stuff like that, the quality of your water is going to really affect how your coffee is. So basically, bad tasting water, bad tasting coffee. It's as simple as that. So what makes bad tasting water? Well, it's actually mostly in Malta, we're dealing with chlorine and maybe some contaminants that have been picked up in the distribution system, which is lower, but for instance, a metallic taste is sometimes expressed by some people for Malta water when it's coming straight out of the tap. And that can be things like copper, manganese, aluminium and stuff like that. But chlorine, we know, that tastes bad. We don't like the taste of it. We don't go to a swimming pool to drink the water. And we don't like really drinking chlorinated water. And there are various ways of removing that. And you can definitely taste it if you just put water straight in your kettle and then boil it. Although some people won't notice because they're not particularly sensitive. And also in some areas in Malta, the chlorination process can be, or the chlorinated taste of the water is probably less than in other areas. What happens with chlorine is it gets added into the chlorine to protect the water from pathogens breeding inside the distribution system. So what happens with chlorine is it's actually a gas that evaporates out of the water, and if you're a long way away from the plant where the chlorination process happened, it may be that your chlorine is less. If you're closer to the plant, it may be that it's slightly more. If it gets added in on the way, etc. So there are these parameters. You can never quite tell. Now, what about bottled water and RO water? An RO system or bottled water won't have the bad tasting chlorine and the heavy, well, things like heavy metals, copper, aluminium, manganese to give that metallic taste. You won't have that. So seemingly you would think that RO water or bottled water would give you a better tasting coffee. But one of the things to be aware of perhaps is that coffee is quite acidic. Although it's 98% water, it's actually quite acidic. So the lower the pH of the water, the more acidic your coffee will be. And at some point you want bitterness in your coffee, but do you want too much? So I found it quite interesting to research this a little bit more, because RO water and bottled water has quite a low pH. And so therefore it may produce less flavour and slightly more bitterness. So what's the balance here? Well, the balance might be something like a higher pH, but more flavour from coffee because of more minerals. And in particular, there are a couple of minerals where research suggests that calcium and magnesium enhance the flavour of coffee, whereas the lack of them means you may get a slightly more bitter taste, which may be, to your palate, okay. But some people may want more flavour. So a higher mineral content in your water means more flavour. And I think that's a great news for Malta, because in fact Malta has alkaline, high mineral content water, which is good when you remove the chlorine, as long as you leave the minerals in the process of removing the chlorine. And one of the disadvantages of having the calcium and magnesium is the lime scale. So you get the enhanced flavour of the coffee because you've got calcium and magnesium in your water, but the downside of that is more lime scale inside your kettle or your coffee machine. So can we deal with the lime scale and have that inhibited or not being a problem, still have magnesium and calcium in the water for the better taste and aroma of the coffee, and remove the chlorine? And the answer is yes. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be doing this, would I? But here we go. Yes, a tap water filter does all those things. And I was very pleased when I did the research on this, because, of course, we distribute the tap water products in Malta, and our mission is to eliminate plastic bottles for drinking water. So the tap water filter produces good water for your coffee. Why? Chlorine is eliminated. That's the first thing. Harmful contaminants such as heavy metals and stuff like that, most of those are eliminated to 95% or more. And it leaves the healthy minerals in, such as calcium and manganese, calcium and magnesium, so you get better flavour in your coffee. And lastly, it deals with the lime scale. And the lime scale is not removed by filtration, but if you listen to that, these are beads inside the filter which inhibit the lime scale from sticking to your kettle and clogging up your coffee machine. So this is one answer to great tasting coffee in Malta. We already have wonderfully alkaline, mineral-rich water in Malta, even though we produce it 60% from reverse osmosis and 40% from groundwater. The water that actually arrives in your tap has a high mineral content, which is great. It's good, healthy drinking water. And when you filter it to remove the things you don't want, such as chlorine and the metallics, then you get great tasting drinking water. Here's your water filter attached to the tap. Here you switch it and you get filtered water, and that is great tasting for your coffee. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I've seen a couple of people live with us today. I'm happy to ask your questions and comments. And if you're watching the recording, please do put comments and questions in the comment box below on Facebook, LinkedIn and YouTube, or you can contact us. You can see the whole schedule of the other live shows that we've done in the past here on tapwatermt/live. And also you can find out more about the filtration system that we use. It's a 5-stage filtration system inside this, which is the filter unit that gets changed every 3 months. And in fact, that unit is an activated carbon block like this inside. This is activated carbon, which removes the chlorine and the other substances that we were talking about before. So you can find out more about the filtration there. And also you can look at the test results. We have tests, independent test results on filtered water and non-filtered water that were taken when we first launched in 2020. And our whole mission is to eliminate plastic bottles for drinking water. So far, nearly 2,500 customers are removing 500 tons of CO2 every year from the environment because we're not using plastic bottles. It's over 2 million plastic bottles a year. When you consider that the recycling of plastic bottles was about 26 million bottles in 2021, so about 10% of those are not even entering the system at all. Maybe it's easier not to use them instead of recycling them. Finally, if you want to have a look at some tap water filters and choose the one that may be good for you, we do several different models. This is a smaller version of the same thing. So it's still very good. It's the same process inside the same filter system. It's very good at dealing with the chlorine and also deals with the lime scale in this little filter here. You just change it more often than the bigger one. This one does 400 litres. So 400 litres of great tasting coffee from this filter. But it's the same process, attaches to the tap here. Non-filtered water out of here. Flick the switch. Filtered water out of here, and it fits most taps as well. So thank you for joining us today. The last thing I'd like to tell you is that all tap water products are guaranteed. So if you want to know whether it's really going to give you great tasting drinking water at home without using those plastic bottles, get online, have one delivered to your home. It's free delivery everywhere in Malta and Gozo. And you have 45 days to give it a go, to live with it, drink plenty of coffee with it, and then decide. If you want to return it, we'll give you a full refund and we will collect it from you. And if you like that, that's no problem. We love that. 95%, I'd rather you just tested it and see what happens. And 95% of our customers keep their taps and don't return them. The 5% that do return them, we normally use those units in some kind of charity situation or NGO situation where we can. But 95% of people keep them. So we can offer that guarantee without any problem at all. And if you want to save 15% off your tap water filters, do use the code LIVE15 and save 15% on all your starter packs. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us to discuss or to hear about what water filter system is best for coffee. I enjoyed doing the research for this because I do like my coffee and I know it tastes better with a tap water filter. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock no, you won't see me tomorrow because I have an appointment that I need to do. Have an electric bike inspection for the grant. So we will be back on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. In the meantime, any last questions from anybody, please just pop your questions in the comment box and we can answer those. And if not, thank you very much for joining us today. I'll see you on Thursday.